level up your hunting game and join the cause. Help preserve small-town Texas hunting culture and become a more successful hunter by learning the best ways to squeeze the most out of your budget and precious time out in the field. Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Here are your resident bandits, Richard Kinchlow and Jimmy Byrne. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, joined by the Corn Bandit, Richard.
Howdy, folks. I am back. I'm alive and well, and I have a new spring in my step.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm sure it has nothing to do with a football game that happened this past Saturday or the other entertaining disaster from that debate.
Oh, right. Night. Yeah. Both were colossal train wrecks that you couldn't stay, you couldn't tie. Yeah, you can't take your eyes away from. Yeah, well, you'll notice if you see me walking down the street, which that's funny walking. But yeah, I'm walking kind of awkwardly, and that's because the shoestrings have been removed. Because after Saturday's full Texas Tech University of Texas game. I mean, it was just dumbfounded. Can
I just say how I know I've been a Red Raider fan for so long?
Yeah, it's like YouTube, so you're numb, right?
So I didn't watch any of the game until the fourth quarter, and then Laura and I went to Mikosina, and we're sitting at the bar, and what's in the TV right there but the game. I didn't even know what the score was at the time, at the end of the fourth quarter, and I saw it. I was like, "Oh my god, okay," And so we sit down, and then I watch it, and then Texas scores, but then they go up again, and we go up again.
Yep.
After that catch by Vasher.
Yep.
And we're up 15 points.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, there's 3.5 minutes left. And then I see Bowman running down the sidelines doing the horns down.
Oh. Which, by the way, that's an OU thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's an OU thing.
Oh, yeah. I look at Laura and I say, you watch. Here's what's going to happen.
Oh, God, yes.
They're going to drive down the field like a knife through butter. They're going to score.
Yep.
They're then going to they're going to kick an onside kick.
Yep.
Get it. Yep. Score again. It's going to go to overtime, and they'll win in the first overtime.
Yep.
Or they'll win the first time. And holy Jesus. I mean, it's like, I know I've been watching Tech for, how old are we now? I've been watching Tech for probably 30 years. Literally 30 years.
Well, and share with
easy to predict.
Share with the listening audience why you were not watching in the first place. Because I think some people will say, "Oh, well, you're a real fan," but tell the reason why you're not watching.
Well, I mean, I guess there's many reasons. One of the main ones is I've just lost. I mean, I feel like I've been kicked in the groin with everything going on, and no fans, barely any fans. I guess there's more, and then weird conference play. Some conferences not playing, and I haven't had much to be excited with lately.
Right. Well, and all that's very much so true and should be taken into account. But I think that the primary thing is the fact that it just hurts. It hurts so bad. Ever since Leach left, I mean, it has just been.
And it's been tough.
It's been real tough. And I think you and I both had high hopes for Kingsbury, and you and I both wanted him to stay another year. Because look at what what Gundy did.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody seems to remember that. I think I didn't even know it till you pointed out that Gundy's first 5 seasons were an absolute disaster.
Oh, disaster!
They were a train wreck, and now I
think it took him 8 years to even get to 9 wins or whatever. Exactly. Oh yeah, I mean it's all of the above, and we were playing Texas at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
and I was like, what were they ranked? Number 8 or something? Yeah, and I was like, there's just what's the point?
5. They were so good. Yeah.
What's the point? But here's what happens. Tech is like, I mean, the cardiac kids. It was like I told Laura, I said, I said, I know you've never seen The Godfather, but in The Godfather Part 3, after there's a scene where Michael for 20 years has been trying to get, the family legitimate and out of all the rackets and everything. He's worked really hard at it. And one thing leads to another. And it comes to this scene where essentially, there's no choice but to protect the family the way that they always knew how, more or less. And he says, I thought, what does he say? He says, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in, That's exactly how I felt whenever we sat down and I saw them up basically 15 on Texas at 3 minutes left. And ranked number 8, and we were like not expected to win any games this year.
We barely lost. Nothing against Houston Baptist, because those guys thumped us like a drum, and they deserve to win. I kind of wish they would have, but so I didn't have high hopes either. And then all of a sudden, I can hear my hunting buddy in the field with me hooping and hollering, because he's, of course, watching it on his phone and missing all the dove. We'll get on to that one here in a second, but what a disaster. But
then they turn around and do that to you. So
absolutely. Well, in Texas,
heart's broken.
Texas destroyed UTEP the weekend before, which I know UTEP's had some struggles the past couple of years, but I thought, man, oh man, we're going to get murdered. And of course, it ended up not being that way. And we threw 2 interceptions. I mean, it's really tough to win when you do that. So we'll see who shows up this weekend. But I will tell you what, the weekend was salvaged. It was salvaged, in my opinion, because, man, there is nothing that puts a Band-Aid on a hurt soul and a hurt heart like having your passion finally come to fruition. And, there's a line on the Patriot, the movie with Mel Gibson, and it's very end of the movie. They're like, blah, blah, blah. And finally the French arrived, and it shows all these frogs out there, firing cannons and stuff with their wigs on, sweating their butts off. Anyway,
you're not going to believe this, but I was literally watching that right before we got on this call.
Oh, you're
or
kidding
this podcast. Me. Yeah, it was on TV, and I was I was eating my venison chili. Yes.
Nice, lucky. That's awesome. My God, great movie.
Yeah, it is.
So finally, the dove have arrived. So I want to go through a recap, because it kind of dawned on me the other day that we're incredibly blessed to be able to go to Rancho Bandito literally whenever we want to, and it's relatively close, quote unquote, to Dallas. And so because of that, we're able to kind of track the movement of these birds and the dove and how the weather affects everything. So I want to recap everything. So right now we're recording this on 30th of September. So we've literally had a month of dove season. So let's recap it. So a couple of weeks. So on September 1 at Rancho Bandito, in most of Texas, it was dry. We had some spotty rain. In August, but the typical. So the hunting over the tanks was outstanding. I mean, my dad did really well on opening day, and then opening night, quite literally, the skies opened up, and it it rained 14 inches in almost 3 days. Which, let me tell you, that is wonderful. But the ground that's what we call a tank filler and a soaker all put together, in about 72 hours. So when
Murphy's
all that
Law,
rain,
as we called the podcast.
Unbelievable. Yeah. The old double-edged sword. You love it, but it kills you. All right. So with all that water on the ground, that effectively killed the tank hunting for us. Okay. So you couldn't hunt over water, it's the way it was. So for the next 2 weekends, we've had some cut sunflower. We've had some cut sunflower, so on and so forth. So that was kind of our backup plan. Okay. Well, but remember when all this rain came in, it was pushed through by a pretty substantial cold front. In early September, late August, when I say cold front, I'm saying it goes from 100 to 95, but it's enough to push everything there south. And that's exactly what happened. So really for the second 2 weeks of the season, it was just, I think we shot 9 birds. I think I've killed 9 birds up until last weekend. Fast forward to last weekend, and we hadn't had any rain in about 2 weeks, and all of a sudden now, here we go again. Had a couple of fronts come through, but they weren't wet fronts. Okay, they were just actual, quote, cold fronts. And They didn't bring any rain, so all the tanks, all the puddles start kind of drying up. You start to see some shoreline, okay, and that's when the tank hunting has really come back on fire. And because of these cold fronts, we've been getting refresh. We've been getting new flights of birds, new flights of birds, which has been great. So last weekend, that's exactly what happened to us. We went to the frac tank. If you've listened to this long enough, you know what that is. It's our perfect little dove hunting tank, and we pull up to the frac tank about 4:00 on Friday. I am blessed to be able to get off a little bit early. Well, of course, I'm basically working all the time anyway from my phone. So I was able to pull up, and we pull up, and there are 4 or 5 dove just right there in that tree. And that's kind of a telltale sign when you see 4 or 5 dove or more, obviously, together. Okay, so they're not just a pair. There's just a handful of them. That's a telltale sign that there's probably a lot more in the area. And migratory dove, again, not from the area, and they're using that water hole. And sure as hell, we had a great hunt. Friday, I ended up taking 9, which was phenomenal. I mean, I haven't done that since last season. And the hunting, the shooting was relatively steady. And, we always talk about migratories, how they're notorious for migratory dove, that is notorious for, at one point in the night, at one point during the evening hunt, rather, you will get just this explosion of activity. It's unbelievable. And typically it's 6:30 to, I think Friday was 6:15. I should have written the times down because I'm not anal about stuff. I think one was like 6:15. Saturdays was 6:30. But I kid you not, the skies opened up. And there, it wasn't Argentina, it wasn't Lubbock, okay, but it was great, and it was overwhelming. And I had shells in my teeth, and I'm pounding birds, and of course that leads me to another little story. But it was just so great to have a little cooler weather. And have the birds flying like that.
So let me take exception to one thing you said. You said typically there's one time where they all come in and they fly around, blah, blah, blah. You forget right at, or maybe a minute past sundown, is what the second time that it typically happens when you're putting your gun in the bag because it's past shooting light, and then they're like, oh, okay, now it's time we can fly everywhere. Remember those kind of waves.
and you know what, Jimmy, you're exactly right, but it did not happen.
Really? Okay.
We were there at dark 30 both nights, just for the fun of it.
Yeah. Just
to see if there was, something else we're going to be there, and we were debating, do we go try to run over a hog, something like that. And there was nothing. It was right there at 6:15, 6:30, and that was it. And I'll tell you, when you start to see a lot of birds flying around, that's when hey man, they're making a break for water. And quite literally, when I say I shoot an over and under Brownie 20 gauge, when I say I had shells in my teeth, I got shells in my teeth, because I know that I'm going to shoot, pop those shells out, and throw 2 more in there. It's going to get crazy. With that being said, you've really got to be careful, and you've really got to mark your birds.
Yep.
Okay. So Friday, and it was risky, okay, but Friday I've got my mojo out there, okay, I got my mojo decoy out there. Of course, migratories, they're suckers for the decoy. So I dropped 2 right there in front of my mojo. I mean, I can see them there. So I'm like, okay. Nice. So I left them there, and that's another tip for you. If you can see them there, okay, and you can safely retrieve them, and you can successfully retrieve them, don't move. Remember, when they see somebody, okay, and if you're moving, they're not going to fly to you. And I don't care if they're going crazy. Take advantage of this time. Take advantage of this flight, because, guys, folks, it's only going to last for a couple of minutes, and that's exactly what I did. So I killed those 2 by my decoy. I could hear one coming from my right. I swing to my right. It was safe. I kill a bird over the tank. He lands in the freaking tank. That's another story. Thank God the wind out of the south was howling, so it blew him to the bank, which was nice. And then I was able to remove a mesquite branch with my shotgun, shooting it, of course, and fetch that bird. But then I dropped another one right to the right tank. So literally within about 2 minutes, I was able to take advantage of this, all sitting, and I killed 4 birds, because I didn't move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of folks, I think you can get in trouble by, trying to go fetch your birds. And again, if you're in a 8-foot tall field, well then, yeah, it's completely different. You're going to have to go out there and mark them and get them. And that you owe it to the bird to do that, of course. But
right.
God, it was great. It was great.
I remember it took me years to really get the discipline to, you shoot one, you put one down when they're flying a lot, to just ignore them and go get it.
Oh yeah.
Because I never hunted with a dog. I mean, I'm with you guys, and sometimes when y'all have dogs and stuff, but it's like just focus, get that bird. But you're right though. I mean, if they land nicely into it's not in tall weeds or anything like that, and
get them right there.
See them, then
Yep. I had, and I'll tell you that's the other thing is it's just amazing. All those years I've been hunting with Scarlet, my Labrador, you really take it for granted, because I never have to leave my bucket. It was great. She would go out and get them, and I'd have to help her sometimes when she was, when she'd break early or whatever. But I've really noticed that my depth perception was so off. And I guess it's because I was kind of green. I hadn't hunted dove in a year or whatever. But another little tip for you here. I shot a bird early on Saturday. And when I say early, I'm thinking like 4:30, and it landed down the tank. Okay, and so when I shot, it landed the tank. So I ran to the edge of the tank and I saw it fall. Okay, I mean I actually saw it fall, but it was kind of out there. So I marked it and I walked right to where it was. Okay. And then I spent literally 10 minutes looking for it. I fell back to where my chair was. Okay. And it's a decent little hike to where I was. And then I went at it again. I did this 2 more times until I finally found that dove. And I swear to God to you, every time you think it's there, do a radius 10 yards around it, behind it. Right. And sure as hell, there he was. And I got really lucky because he was held up on a piece of broomweed, but he was a good 8 to 7 yards away from where I had marked him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, man, I guess I'm getting old and my depth perception's not what it used to be. But,
hey man, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I try to do this technique of like, I'll shoot, and I literally won't take my eye off it. I'll just I'll eject the shells. I'll put a couple in as I'm walking, but I'm looking right at it.
Absolutely, looking right at. Yep.
And even that, you get to that spot, and I'm like,
absolutely,
I swear it's right here.
Oh yeah,
where is it? So I'll try to I'll stand there. I'll look back to where I was sitting and kind of try to mark where I am now.
Yep.
And then do what you said. Do walk out, 5 yards and then over 5 yards, back 5 yards.
Oh yeah.
Then just kind of do like a zigging pattern, kind of in a way. Just head on a swivel, if you will.
Yeah, that and that's the way to do it, man. But that's the only way.
It can be hard still
without the dog. Yeah. No, and it's frustrating, especially when you got dove flying,
Yeah. Oh yeah, while you're out there for like 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
And they're just
they're everywhere. And then you can get. I think it's happened to all of us where you've got 4 or 5 down. You're like, oh my God, what have I done? Right. And again, if your buddy's got a dog, it's no problem.
That's different. Yeah,
they can round them all up. But man,
because in that case, at least you remember the general area, so you can kind of help the dog. Yeah, it's in here.
Absolutely. Yep. You get him into the wind, and it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. So that was Friday. Friday was phenomenal. Saturday, tried to go early season teal hunting. It was the last weekend. I just was convinced. I mean, I almost had the game shears and the little cleaning bucket we used to clean ducks and dove with ready, because I just knew that we were going to get into them, and we didn't see a hide or a feather of a blue-winged teal, which I was stunned.
Wow.
I was absolutely stunned. And Illini was with me, his older boy and Abby were with me. And so we were ready to roll, man, and it was cool. And Scarlet, oh God, it was great. And the decoys were out there just in that little teardrop pool. I mean, it was perfect. And not only did we not see a teal, we didn't see any other big ducks too. And I just assumed a lot of those guys would be coming down, because typically towards later in the blue-winged teal season, early teal season rather, you start to see some. So. we did not see any ducks, which was disappointing. But then again, you go back, the dove hunting was phenomenal. And Saturday night was the same thing. I typically won't shoot a tank twice, but I knew with, the front that had come through, it was dry. And then something else I didn't mention, we had another front that came through, a big one that came through on Monday. It was literally dropping temperatures. Like we could, Saturday night, we could see it was snowing in New Mexico, I think, and Colorado. And then, look at the timecast, Lubbock was going to be, drop 30 degrees. That's perfect. Full moon. And if you look at one of our Instagram posts, I posted pictures of some dove and then a picture of the moon I took, because the moon really is a migratory bird's nightlight. It's unbelievable. They'll fly all night if they have the moon. So anyway.
Did not know that.
Yep. So Saturday.
So when do they sleep then?
Well, yeah, that's the reason why they live for like 8 years and then die. No sleep and constant stress.
Right.
Yeah, so
back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth. Colombia to Canada. They both begin with C, both speak Spanish and French and all that.
And Canadian?
And Canadian, yeah, syrup, plaid, beacon. Yeah, so no, it was a great time. Great time. We also starting to see a lot of the bucks are coming out. We're starting to see that pattern starting to change a little bit, starting to see some does and bucks kind of mingling together as we were, going about our daily chores down there, still hitting the feeders, which is kind of crazy. We filled up our protein feeders in late August, and I kind of said, let's not do that, but we went ahead and did it anyway. Anyway. And
hold on a second.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you say let's not do that?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So for a couple of reasons, first of all, the deer protein pellets, okay, and cottonseed, all the supplemental type feeds, if you've got a real bad drought year, okay, and you don't have a lot of natural forage, that's what it's there for, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, during a drought, and of course post rut they need it, during the antler growing season they need it, okay, et cetera, et cetera. Well, by August, especially by late August, at least the deer in our area, their antlers are what they are, the fawns are weaned, okay? So really serving this protein pellet, although they love it and it is beneficial to them, it's not 100% needed. Now, with that being said, if we had a huge deficit of rain, and I can actually see that, that the forage available was crap, okay, and it wasn't doing very well, then yeah, I would have said, hey, keep the protein going, and we'll just fill it up one last time, but that really wasn't the case. And of course, it was funny. We fill up all these 3,000-pound feeders, right? And then we get 14 inches of rain.
Right.
So 14 inches of rain, which of course gum them up, okay,
right.
Except for our one that's got the coon hoods on it, which because the coon hood kind of acts as a rain shield too. But a lot of those fall forbs came out, and it's just unbelievable. And you can literally just kind of peel the dead burnt grass from the summer back, and you can see these little broadleaf forbs. It's really cool. Another indicator out there that really shows just how significant this rainfall was is there's a species of wildflower. Now this is kind of getting into the hey, peace, man, save the whales type stuff. But I like wildflowers. I can't help it. I like butterflies. So judge me. Go ahead.
Don't apologize.
Yeah. So
for your fetishes.
That's true. Yeah. I like sea lions. Anyway. There is a type of feather called a gay feather, which we're laughing. It's funny. And anyways, it's this velvety pink little feather or flower rather that grows kind of on a stem that's typically about a half a foot, and it's incredible for monarchs. Well, you don't get a lot of gay. My experience, you don't get a lot of gay feather unless you've had a substantial amount of early fall rain, and the whole ranch is flooded with gay feather. And the timing of it is great because, of course, when you've got migrations, you got the ducks, you got the cranes, you got the geese, and all that kind of stuff. But you also have butterflies. You've got monarch butterflies that are making the trip south. And, this weekend, again, call me what you want to, but I can't wait to, after I wake up hungover and have my coffee and do everything that coffee makes you do, I'm going to go drive around and look at butterflies. So,
well, the folks will be expecting a nice picture posted on our
Instagram
page,
you
at Feed Bandit for everyone who's interested in following us.
Please, absolutely, yeah. So
and one of the aspects, I mean, you alluded to it, but going back to the protein real quick, I mean, it rained a lot in the spring.
It did.
And it was almost as green all summer as I remember it being out there.
Yep.
So
it was a good summer. It was a good summer.
Yeah, so there was a lot to choose from. So there's that aspect. You're thinking there's a lot to choose from. And the last 2 years of the acorn crop, maybe it was going to be a third or whatever.
Oh, my God. Yeah, well, again, and I'll tell you, that's the other thing. People are just dreading. They're like, oh, my God. And I think it's kind of like, will lightning strike twice type thing. And I again, that crop that we had last year, these old timers, I've said it a million times since the phenomena happened, that all these old timers saying, boy, I ain't never seen anything like that ever. And of course, me in my 40 years, I've never seen anything like that. And I'm a dork and I follow that kind of stuff, so it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I have checked our trees, a lot of our red oaks and live oaks, and they are loaded, but they ain't loaded like they were. I mean, last year you could literally see them physically sagging. You're like, what? And then you get closer, like, wow, But this year they're loaded, but they're not like where they last year. So that's bad news for the Piggly Wigglies because they just can't resist that yellow gold.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've shot a pig. I need to get one. I mean, it might be 2 years.
What?
Maybe.
Surely not.
Did I shoot one last? No, I shot one. Was it last year?
Oh yeah, dude, you were the only one. Oh.
The Gonzalez one
you set the record.
That's right. He came and there was nothing in the feeder. He showed up anyway.
I still showed up anyway. Bad.
Little did I know there was nothing in the feeder. But
yep. I tell you, we're talking about the bumper acorn crop, and that's. We typically will shoot 50, 60, 70 hogs a year during the season. And that includes in traps too. We absolutely, we give them what for, which of course does absolutely nothing. And last year, because the acorns, as it was widely documented, we just didn't see a lot of pigs. And, typically opening weekend, oh my God. I mean, you have to reload. It is insane. And Jimmy's the only one to kill one. In fact, I think we didn't kill another pig for like almost a month. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. So I think this year is not. I don't think it's going to be that way, which is good for us. Bad for them. Yeah.
Well, last year was the first time that I started hunting. I don't want to say exclusively, but at least every deer hunt I went on, I brought an AR instead of a regular bolt action.
Yep.
So I'm going to continue to do that this year in hopes that they will show up a little more. So
absolutely,
we'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But speaking of shooting implements, I mean, this weekend is opening of bow season.
Yes, the opening of the Texas archery season. Weekend.
Yeah,
very, very exciting. And I tell you, a lot of the guys guys and gals. Sorry, be inclusive.
A lot of the people. Persons.
Yeah, well, you can't say that because that's offensive.
They or them's.
Yes, we can't. We can't even use that. We'll just say we're just not going to say anything. Y'all have to figure out exactly what we're talking about. We don't. But the typical opening weekend, and I'm sure in South Texas it'll still be a bake fest, but a lot of Texas is. I mean, they're going to be draped in a nice cool front. It's going to be the 50s at the Rancho Bandito in the morning. That is awesome. That is great. Because typically. I love it on Texas Bow Hunter. You'll see pictures. These guys in the afternoon, like I'm in the stand, and they're like basically naked, because it's so freaking hot.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, typically that's we're out there in shorts and t-shirts.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My days of trying to dress like a hunter are over. I dress more like I don't know, like Mad Max.
Right. Well, unless you're duck or turkey hunting,
exactly.
That goes without saying, I guess.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah. But, one of the guys we were dove hunting with the second weekend, he's from Houston, he's a good friend of ours, and he said, we were sitting around having drinks after our bird watching party. We didn't shoot anything, of course. He said, "You know what? You guys really, us, meaning the boys of the Rancho Bandito, have really set the tone really set the style when it comes to dove hunting. Because I've never seen anybody hunt in shorts and snake boots." I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, it's just comfortable that way."
Oh yeah.
God.
It's
the only way to go.
Oh, I don't think I have worn long pants to dove hunt in 10 years.
Nope.
And Matt's the only one, I think.
No, and yeah, well, of course, with him, since he kind of has to run for a living, you know, he's still wearing the same pants he did in college, you know. Whereas I can't. I'm not even going to attempt. And I don't think I get those jeans over my ankles. Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. He's still wearing the same clothes. I'm like, I hate you, skinny bastard.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So it is the beginning of the Texas archery season, and God, it couldn't come soon enough. Just with everything going on, the craziness of the world and whatnot, it's going to be really, really cool to to get out there and see the pictures. And there's been a couple of threads on Texas Bow Hunter already. And let me see your target bucks, and this is all the money from the leases and the feed, and it all boils down to this, opening day. Hopefully they can catch an arrow and that deer hadn't gone to the other neighbor's fence and all that kind of stuff. So it's exciting and good luck to all the archery hunters out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone didn't hear the podcast last weekend, it was a interesting little reading, if you will, about venison and kind of an overview of to get us into the mood of how are we going to care for the bounty that we that we're lucky to get when we're deer hunting. So go back and listen to that one. There'll be more of those going forward because I think we have a lot of good material to help people out, and learn some things I didn't know. I learned actually a lot and while going through that chapter last week. So cool. Check it out.
Well, and to that point, go back to some of our if you haven't logged onto our YouTube channel, which I haven't done in some time, I need to do that. But go onto our YouTube channel if you don't have a lot of experience with with venison butchery and whatnot. I actually made a couple of videos of how to handle your back straps and whatnot. Especially for your new hunters out there, if you're successful enough to bag a deer. And you're introducing venison to your family, take the time to prep it right because, that first impression can be potentially the last impression. So, venison is absolutely incredible, but, it does require a little bit of love and care compared to just going to the store. But, to me, it's worth it. It's, I know for you too, Jimmy, it's kind of like you're like a mountain man, so, but yeah, go to our YouTube channel and check that out. I've got some, tenderizing back straps, things of that nature. I think it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. There's some good information there. It's a growing YouTube channel. So
yes, it is.
Anyone out there listening ever goes to YouTube and likes bookmarking channels or subscribing to channels, please go to Feed Bandit and subscribe. Please. Not only can you listen to these podcasts on YouTube, if that's what you want to do for whatever reason, you can watch some pretty cool videos that the Bandits have put together and put out there. So, please go over there and subscribe. You got anything else in this one?
That is about it.
Maybe just remind the folks, since we are getting into deer season, not that it only starts with deer season, it's a year-round thing, but a lot of folks out there now are have keeping feeders filled to the top of their mind, maybe buying some new gear to get out there in the field with or anything. We implore everybody out there, the cause of the podcast, of course, and our passion is doing what we can to help, small town Texas, the culture of small town hunting, helping the small businesses that help us while we're out in the field. So, as we always say, of course, support your local feed store. So if you're looking to, if there's anything you need to buy for your, your ranch or your lease or whatever, and you're thinking about stopping by, Walmart or the beaver name that I shall not speak. Just consider the closest feed store to you. Support those folks.
Agreed. It might be more convenient. The convenience is the name of the game this day and age. It really is. But let me tell you, folks, everybody's struggling with COVID and whatnot. Those feed stores, they need that business. You'll probably make a friend for life. Okay. Also it's goes without saying, and I've seen a lot of posts lately on a lot of the websites that I read, talking about, bad corn from Walmart, things of that nature. So remember, whatever you don't want to put something bad and potentially harm those deer that you're trying to grow and prosper on your place. So not saying you're not going to get a bad batch from feed store. I'm sure it's happened. It'll happen again, but I think you're less likely to get a bad batch from a feed store rather than somebody who handles, everything else.
Right. And I mean, think about it also. Who's going to care for you more as a customer anyway?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it going to be that family run feed store next to your lease, or is it going to be Walmart?
Exactly.
Exactly. Just support those folks because they're there for you when you need them. So
no doubt. Yeah.
But with that, unless you got anything else, I guess we can kind of sign off. All right. Well, folks, thanks again for listening. We really appreciate it. Just want to welcome all the new listeners. If this is the first one that you listen to, we really appreciate it. Everyone out there listening, if you enjoy what we're doing, please go on and give us a rating and a review. We'd really appreciate it. It does help us out. So please go on there and do it. And we're always looking for feedback from you guys. So remember, there's kind of two main ways, although there's many ways, but two main ways we talk about, actually really three, I guess. One, you can email us at howdy@feedbandit.com. Let us know how your hunt's going so far, your seasons are going so far. We'd love to hear about it. Also, if you have any topics you might like us to discuss, shoot us an email and we'll talk about it. We'd really appreciate that. You can also leave us a voicemail. Just go to feedbandit.com. There's a place on the website that'll allow you to leave us a voicemail, so you can record it. If you'd rather do that, not a problem. You don't have to say your name or anything. We'll just we'll run with it. The other way is, we're getting a lot of messages also through our Instagram page. We mentioned our Instagram account. We mentioned that earlier in the podcast, at FeedBandit. If you're on Instagram, please be sure to go there and follow us. And you can also just shoot us a direct message on there to, with whatever interests you, and we'll get back with you. So a lot of different ways to follow us. There's more than that, but I guess those are the main ones. So everyone, please go on there and join along. And also, we have an email list, so please go to the website, sign up for that.
Definitely.
You won't be disappointed. So anyway.
Definitely.
That's all I got. I think that's all we got for tonight. We look forward to seeing everybody, and figuratively speaking, on the next episode of the Feed Bandit Podcast. So with that, everyone out there, have a good one. Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit Podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one. And remember, support your local feed store.